Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Hawnt. Thank you for checking out this video. I'm also currently streaming live on Twitch, so this is where this episode has been recorded tonight. And I thought this time I'm going to check out some VHS horror on eBay. It's been a while since I've looked up some tapes on eBay, and I figured we'd see if we could find any bargains, see if we could find some things that were not so well priced, and just have a bit of fun looking for old movies on my favourite old format. If you're not familiar with why I'm into this stuff, I wrote a book called VHS ATE My Brain, and a column and a podcast and a show and stuff like that. There's a revised version of that book coming out very soon, the VHS ATE My Brain, a revised edition that's got a load of new content in it, including a new section called VHS ATE the World. And yeah, it's going to be fun. But I thought I would come and look for some... I go back to the source a bit tonight. I come and look for some VHS horror movies on eBay and see if we could find some good deals. So I hope you are all well, all keeping well and looking after yourself while all this... the world continues to be insane. So let's go and see what we can find in the way of VHS horror movies. Now, VHS has been getting a bit more of a resurgence lately. It seems to come in waves. It seems to come and go. Caffeine. And I find that very interesting. There was a big wave of it back in the early 2010s with things like Adjust Your Tracking came out and Rewind This, and there's definitely a resurgence in it. And I think that's when it mainly became more of a thing around the world, the early 2010s. That's where I discovered this scene on the Horror VHS Collectors Unite page on Facebook, and it's just been an interesting thing to see those waves coming and going, and it seems to be getting another resurgence again, and that's awesome. I'm all for it. This is a format that was hugely influential to people, and it's still to this day, it holds great memories, and I really miss being in a video store on a Friday night, arguing with family members or trying to figure out arguing with myself what I was going to rent. So let's take a look at what we can find here. So I have had a look earlier on at a couple of tapes just to make sure there were some interesting things to talk about on here. Forefront, top of the page there's Night of the Living Dead on Forefront. Forefront was a budget video label here in the UK, and they're not really worth a great deal. However, they do have a sentimental aspect to them, because I had a bunch of Forefront videos, things like RoboCop, I had the Night of the Living Dead, and a load of other movies that I really enjoyed. That format, that edition, just with the gold piping, the gold edges around it, it's junk. They're not worth anything really. I honestly wouldn't pay $4.20 for one, although that is free postage. Let's buy it now, $4.20 with free postage. So that's not bad, because you're only paying about 50p for that in that case. So thinking about it, that is a pretty good deal. But those editions with the gold edges on, they are quite nostalgic to me. I played the hell out of those tapes. And I think that is the colorized version of Night of the Living Dead, though, so you would have to pay me to take it off your hands. Evil Dead Trap. Pre-cert VHS horror. Okay, let's open some of these up. £5 for a Goosebumps tape is a lot. Those are only quite short, but there is a resurgence in interesting Goosebumps books, as well as things like Fear Street and Point Horror, so I can understand that having an audience, but I'm not sure I'd pay a £5 for it. Okay, so the VHS Horror Bundle here, times 3, £5 plus $4.20 postage. £5 for those three isn't too bad. Those are sell-through tapes, so they're the smaller clamshell tapes. The UK videos came in. But there's The Thing, Friday the 13th, and The Exorcist. If you're just starting out with a VHS horror collection, that is a pretty good deal to get those classics in there. Let me just see what the version you've never seen. So it is the slightly extended version of The Exorcist in there. So that's not bad. If you're just kicking off a VHS collection, I do recommend that you check that one out. Evil Dead Trap. It's a Japanese movie. Oh, it's a Japanese movie. Strong uncut version. There's some crazy things on in Japanese cinema, really crazy things in Japanese horror movies. So if that's your thing, check it out. I would say $9.99 for that. For the Evil Dead Trap is not a terrible price. It still feels a little high. Because I am from the school where the old school of collecting VHS, where a lot of the tapes I picked up were about 10p. So it is still a little difficult getting my head around things being quite so expensive. Okay, Vision On, Gallery of Horror pre-cert, $4.99. I'm not familiar with this movie or indeed this company. Is that a UK tape? Is that a PAL tape or is it NTSC? Showing some ignorance early on in the episode there, but you know. Let's have a look on here. I don't see if that's NTSC or anything. International copyright. So I'm not sure. I think with that tape, you would have to be seeking that movie out in particular. Okay, so what else have we got? We've got the Evil Dead full uncut version. I have that edition. I bought that edition when it first came out. It's the uncut, first time the Evil Dead was available uncut in the UK, because, you know, censorship here was nuts for a long time. Hitcher. Oh, we've got a copy of The Church there, which is worth it just for the cover alone. Collection of 5 horror movies. Let's talk about those two. Oh, the original version of The Blob in big box. That's cool. Look at that artwork. Crypt of the Living Dead. I remember that one being in a lot of the budget stores I used to visit when I was trying to pick up lots of tapes. Critters 2. I had 2 copies of Critters 2. And I sold both of them a long time ago. But they were both the big box versions. That appears to be the smaller clamshell version. It's RCA Columbia Video. Sorry. Not RCA Columbia, what am I saying? Is it Vestron? That is RCA Columbia Pictures Video. That is a smaller clamshell. So not as desirable. Mainly when collecting VHS, a lot of the more desirable ones are the X-rental tapes in the larger format plastic boxes. But let's take a look at some of these that I've got open, then we can move on. Yeah, Crypt of the Living Dead. Interesting one because it has glorious artwork. Brilliant artwork. A very good title to drag you in, blood dripping off it and so on. But however, if you see there, that is from Apex. That video label, that was a pure budget label. I had a bunch of tapes from Apex over the years, things like Children of Ravensback, Dawn of the Mummy, and my first version of Don't Go in the House. So that's more for one for completists of kind of budget videos. Generally, they weren't the best films. They certainly weren't the greatest editions of films that were on the Apex label. But they're still a fun thing to have, and that is an X-rental size big box tape, and it looks great. Even if you don't like the movie, that looks fantastic and will look great on a shelf. Let's take a look at this version of The Blob. And this is an interesting one. A mountain video presentation, VHS color 76 minutes. I'm wondering if that is an NTSC tape, because I don't recognise that at all. That's the original version of The Blob with Steve McQueen in it. Really fun genre movie. Let's have a look here. Again, I'm not familiar with that. No, that's the UK one. So that appears to be a pre-cert version of the original version of The Blob. So that probably predates the 1988 remake. So that is indeed an English tape. A half-assed label. Personally, I'm not a big fan of entirely clean tapes. I like tapes that have got a load of rental store stickers all over them. It just gives it more character to me. That's how I see it anyway. It just tends to feel a bit more of the era, like you're getting a bit more of the history of it. So this is an interesting one. This is good. Let's take a look at the postage here. $4.50 for 5 tapes. That's not too bad. So we've got Satanic Rites of Dracula on the Warner Brothers sell-through Hammer Horror edition. Nice one to have. Again, not all that desirable because it's in the smaller clamshell. We've got an X-rental size Day of the Dead. Now that is fantastic. That's lovely. As it's got an 18 on it, I don't believe that'll be uncut. Probably not. But that is a really nice, really desirable tape to have on your shelf. So that alone, I would buy that lot just for that copy of Day of the Dead. What else we got down here? Taste of Blood of Dracula, another Hammer Horror tape, and another Hammer Horror tape, and The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. So, I have a strange relationship with The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. It was a terrible sequel. Wes Craven really dropped the ball with that. It wasn't a great sequel at all. The first Hills Have Eyes movie is a classic. is a classic of exploitation cinema, a classic horror thriller, whereas The Hills Have Eyes it's sort of like a textbook 80s sequel. You know, it's got Michael Berryman's back in it. There's a bit of cannibalism. There's some kids stuck in the desert fighting off the family, but it doesn't have any of the impact of the original. That said, it was one of the first horror movies I owned on VHS, so I do have a soft spot for it. So that's a pretty good deal. That is a pretty good deal, that, for a £5. Let's take a look at The Church. The new gruesome shocker from Dario Argento, The Church, it would make you squirm. That sequence at the end, yeah, that will bloody make you squirm. That is awful. It took me ages to figure out what this was meant to be as well. This pile of people. If you look closely, it's actually the head of a demon. And, it took me a long time to figure that out. But that is a really fun film. At one point, it was, I believe this one was supposed to be the third in the series of demon movies that Bava made, that Dario Argento, I think he co-wrote them. I've forgotten, my brain is faded from watching too many bad movies. But it's the small clamshell version, but that is still quite fun. That is a nice one to have in your collection, and a really interesting film, very atmospheric movie. Let's see what else we've got here. Did I spot a copy of Curtains? Right, I want to have a look at this copy of Curtains. That one there, Night of the Living Dead and The Mummy 2, that's the knockoff cheap ass version of The Mummy 2. That is the tape equivalent of one of the budget DVDs you would see in like Poundland and stuff like that. There's a nice Halloween 3 there. Toxic Avenger, again on small clamshell. Probably worth it for a £5 because Toxic Avenger is awesome, but still. The big box of Scream 2, if you're a Scream completist, that's not a terrible deal because, tapes are getting quite scarce now. A tenner for the first three Elm Street movies. This bugs me here, this listing a bit, because that says a Nightmare on Elm Street trilogy. Elm Street wasn't a trilogy, was it? 7 films, plus Freddy vs. Jason, and a remake. That's not a trilogy. That's a lot more than a trilogy. And $9.99 for those 3 tapes. If you can still find anywhere selling VHS tapes, you will find those pretty cheap. I think I got my copies of those editions for about 25p each from a charity shop. That's not going to be one that you're going to hugely want on your shelves. They're great to have on your shelves, just not brilliant to... not the best editions, in my opinion, anyway. What else we got down here? I've opened up a few more interesting ones here. There's House by the Cemetery, Lucia Fulci's House by the Cemetery there. It's dated 1981. However, that is a Vipco Cult Classics version. That's from probably the early 90s. That's not from 1981. The movie's from 1981. But that edition isn't. If you want the movie on VHS cut, if you're not bothered about it being cut, that's $2.99 for that is not a bad price, but it's not an uncut version of that movie at all. What else we got here? Freddy's Nightmares 2. I have a soft spot for this tape. Freddy's Nightmares wasn't a great TV series. It wasn't a perfect TV series at all. But that tape, Freddy's Nightmares 2, has 2 episodes of the TV series on it, and they're not bad. The second of the 2 episodes, so it was Sister's Keeper was the first one. I don't remember what the second episode was called on it, but the second episode had Mariska Hargitay in it that's been in Law and Order for many years, Law and Order SUV. So if you want to see one of her early roles, check out this tape of Freddy's Nightmares Volume 2 from the Elm Street series. However, the first episode on the tape is really interesting. My Sister's Keeper. It's about 2 twin girls fighting off Freddy, and it really plays like a short sequel. Now, it's the twins did show up in a previous episode of the series, but in this one, it feels very much like an Elm Street sequel, in 45 minutes and with a lower budget. I do recommend you check that out because it does greatly have the feel of the films. Other than that, the Freddy's Nightmares series was largely kind of an anthology series that was just topped and tailed by Freddy footage, with like a Twilight Zone sort of episode in the middle, Twilight Zone Outer Limits sort of thing going on in the middle. But the episodes that directly reference the whole Freddie mythos, I think were the best ones in my opinion. Anyway, I thought they were the best ones out of the lot. But yeah, it's not a tape I'm going to pick up again because I played it to death. But let's see what else we've got here. We've got a nice edition here of House 2. That let's have a look at that. That looks like the X rental version. Let's have a look at the tape. Yeah, that's the X rental version in the big box. £1.60. You can't go wrong. That's a great buy. That's a great buy. Sean Cunningham production. The House movies are great fun. You know, from the heyday of 80s horror comedy. This one, I'm curious about. So this here is City of the Living Dead. The Fulci version. The Fulci movie. Lucio Fulci, City of the Living Dead. A really atmospheric horror movie. But I'm not sure about this edition. Elephant Video Limited. I'm not familiar with the Elephant Video Limited, and that label looks like a boot. It looks like a bootleg to me. That doesn't look convincing. It's got an 18 stripe around the side, which has been added on at a video store, but it also has the 18 in the corner, which looks like it's printed on. So that would be post-cert. That's not a pre-cert version, and I'm not sure about that at all. I do see that that has how long has it got left on it? I was to buy it now, and it's $4.99, and no one's picked it up. It's been watched, but I'm not sure about that tape. It's not one I would personally pick up. Now this one though, look at the artwork on this. This is the stuff. It will change your life forever. Believe me, when you watch this movie, the movie will change your life forever. It's crazy. Yep, it's the horror movie about insane marshmallow goo. And there's the dude's face stretching out when he pukes masses of marshmallow goo. It's like shaving foam. I think the effects are like shaving foam, but that's just crazy. Great film though. If you want that in your collection, definitely get that edition. That's a good price for it. Now we've got curtains here. Oh, I see why this is cheap. Curtains Horror / VHS pre-cert early rare big box video space. It's got all the hallmarks there of stuff I would want in the collection. It's got awesome cover art. It's not too tatty. Let's have a look at the back of it. Yeah, a bit of damage on the back, but that's acceptable. That's a good, fun, very dark movie. That's BBFC 18, but I think that's just around the time they started doing the BBFC certifications. But it says some beginnings of mold on the tape. So, unfortunately, I will want to avoid that at all costs. Because I don't have the skills or the knowledge in order to get rid of mold off VHS tapes, which is a shame. I've had a couple of moldy tapes myself. I have kept them, but I've sealed them away and just won't play them. They're more sentimental for the covers. I should really get rid of the tapes, really. But that is something you need to be careful of. Look out for any mold like that. You see the white on the white substance on the tape itself. That would really damage your vintage VCR. So unfortunately, I was going to bid on that as well, but unfortunately I'm going to pass on that. Okay, these are all sell-throughs. I had that edition of the Exorcist. That was a pretty good edition when it came back in the luxurious kind of digipack. And the problem was with those fold-out like cardboard cases, nothing fit with them on the shelf. Ah, the lamp. Let's have a look. It says read the description. VHS job lot. Okay. Oh. Warner pre-cert of The Exorcist. Night of the Bloody Apes on 1999 VHS. Night Vision. I don't recognise that. Let's take a look at that. Wrong Turn. Why would anyone buy Wrong Turn on VHS? It's just not the sort of thing. Oh! The Ogre. Okay, let's pick another couple to open up. Not Scream, not Children of the Corn. Okay, let's have a look at that horror bundle there. $14.99 for Videodrome. I paid £1 for that. Really, really shop around. If you're looking for VHS tapes, shop around. Really shop around. Cannibal Apocalypse. X-Rental Small Box pre-cert Cannibal Apocalypse. That's an interesting movie. I had John Saxon in it. And, ooh. Let's take a look at that one. I'll get to why in a moment. And lastly, I will open up that one. Okay, I think that should do us for this particular chat. Let's see if we can find something cool out of these. So we've got here the lamp. And what we've got here is the staircase. Someone's staircase. So this appeals to me. The lamp on Spotlight is cheap as chips. This tape. You know, it's a budget label of a low budget movie that kind of vanished. But it has some great artwork on it. Let's have a look. Has it got some mold on it? Nah, it's got some mold on it. That looks to me like mold. That doesn't look like wear on that tape. There's some graying on the tape there that looks like mold to me. That is a shame. Let's see if it mentions it in the... yeah, tape has some mold. So if you are selling stuff and it does have mold on it, if you're selling VHS tapes, always note that it has the mold, because it's not always obvious to people buying these things. Okay, we've got VHS job lot, action, thriller, and horror. Let's see if we can get, not monetary value £12, but let's see if we can get entertainment value of £12 out of this. So is it just the one? Yeah, it's just the one batch of tapes. So we've got in this batch, let's have a look at the fronts. We've got Eve of the Killer, we've got Replacement Killers, Cape Fear, Boogie Nights, Game of Death, Private Parts, Raging Bull, and Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. So that'll be no then. And that's a shame. That's a shame. There's no real... There's nothing exciting in there. It's all stuff that you can get pretty cheap on DVD or anything like that. There's not a great deal of collectability there. We've got a sponsored one here. What's in this? £30 for a VHS job lot. Let's see. Three Kings, The Hurricane, Whole Nine Yards, Billy Elliot. There isn't £30 there. Is there more tapes? No. I wouldn't buy that for £30. That's something I would... maybe a tenner. Maybe a tenner, and only if you really wanted to bulk out your collection. But just don't buy tapes for the sake of it. Buy things that you really love, and then you will build a collection that you will cherish. You know? I'm not going to look at DVDs. And what else have we got here? Pre-cert of The Exorcist. This is exciting. This is Warner Home Video. So this is in one of those chunky, large clamshells that felt kind of a little bit squidgy. £17 for this is nice. This is an auction rather than buy it now. I always prefer auctions, because then you know you may get a bargain, and you know you're bidding with people that are genuinely interested in it and aren't just buying it for the sake of it. And that's what I think anyway. So yeah, £17. It's looking in good condition. Let's check this out. Just checking my making sure the stream's still going okay. Awesome. So yeah, this is a good looking tape. There's a bit of wear at the top, but it looks nice and crisp. It's got the legendary image with the light coming out of the window on the cover. That looks nice. It's got the awesome back. I love these Warner tapes. I had a bunch of the Warner tapes, like Mad Max was a favourite I had of these, where the back is more like an article rather than a movie blurb. There's some of the legendary stills. There's good old Linda Blair there as Regan. It's a great film. I can't fault The Exorcist. I really enjoy it. Spine looks good. Yep, spine's looking good. Again, a bit of wear, but it's got to be expected. It's got the Warner hologram at the bottom, so that looks convincing. It's got the proper Warner case there, embossed. I love those things. That really brings back memories. That's the sort of thing that really makes me nostalgic about tapes, is when you get something like the oversized Warner big box clamshells. They're just really cool. Let's have a look at the tape. The tape looks in good condition, actually. Let's zoom in there. I don't see any mold. I think the marks there are dust. I think that might be dust or marks on the outer casing. It is pre-cert as well. Personally, I think that is a really good deal. It's not what I'm looking for, personally, but that is a really good deal. I mean, I've got the Exorcist on enough editions as it is. Okay, what we got here? Night of the Bloody Apes, That is on the Satanica label. If you're a collector of kind of like Mondo or something weird sort of tapes, you can't go wrong with that. £3 plus postage. That's not bad at all. Unfortunately, Night of the Bloody Apes is a terrible film, which ended up on the Video Nasties list, largely because it had some footage of actual like heart transplants in it. It was stock footage, but it is not the best film. But worth it if you like the sort of Mondo tapes that are out there. Night Vision, I would buy this alone for the artwork. Virgin Video, it's not a particularly popular movie, but check out that cover. Let's have a look at the tape. Don't see any mold on there. It's got video rental store stickers on the side. Not what I'm particularly looking for, but I think that's pretty cool. Now this one interests me, and I think I might have to put a bid in on this. This is post-cert Demons 3, The Ogre. Now, there never was a Demons 3, but Christ knows how many movies were put across as Demons 3. But this is one of the ones that was put across as the third Demons movie, but it is completely and utterly unrelated to the first two movies. From the director of Demons and Demons 2. Yeah, that doesn't make it a Demons sequel, buddy. But I love the cover art. I love the hand there, and I love painted cover art. Painted cover art rules. And that looks pretty good. Again, as it's post-cert and it's not a particularly huge film, it's not going to get a load of attention. However, I'm going to bid on that because that rules. That is a nice looking tape. Okay, feel free to go and beat me on the bidding. Now I don't know what this is. Night After Night After Night, video playback, chat mail and mark. That's got a restricted label on it. That is an NTSC tape. Let's have a look. Color, 83 minutes. Video playback. So just be aware when you are buying retro videos and vintage videos. It's got a registered office in London on the back. However, it's got a restricted symbol on it, which tells me it's the US. I may be completely wrong there, but that's an interesting one. But I just love the cover art there. That sort of airbrushed cover art. That's fabulous. Horror VHS bundle. Let's see if you can get 40 quid. Red Dragon, Hannibal, Hellraiser, Amityville, Fatal Attraction, Elm Street 3, 2, Ghosts, Children of the Corn, Silence of the Lambs, Les Miserables. Horror VHS bundle. Les Miserables. No. This one's cool. This is Replay. This is pre-cert. It's small case pre-cert. The good stuff. They've got a picture of the actual cover out of there. Replay video. It's on an E120. Video program distributors. It's on VPD. As a known label back in the day. Let's have a look at the sticker. Sticker's worn off, was being sorted out with a marker. I think that adds character, personally. Let's have a look at the tape. That tape is shagged. Is that mark on the tape, or is that mold? I think that's mold by the look of it. That's a shame, because that is a really fun, weird, like PTSD sort of themed movie. There's something to look out for as well. Embalmed. Now, not the movie, although that cover art rules, but look out for this. This is a cut tape. So that has been, that was originally a cardboard sleeve on a tape, which has been cut to fit a clamshell case, and that's just, it doesn't look good. I suppose it look all right on a shelf, but that is a budget tape, possibly from a market back in the day, that has been cut open to fit a clamshell, rather than just being the cardboard slipcase, because we didn't really have those over here. That's a shame. Looks all right though. This one kind of sums up the back end of the the VHS era for me. So it takes us back to the start of the episode when I talked about the Night of the Living Dead tape. We've got the colorized version of Night of the Living Dead, which is a shame because it just doesn't work colorized. The remake that Tom Savini did was solid back in the 90s. The colorized version of the original is an abomination and should be destroyed. Every copy of that should be burned, personally. The middle tape, Zombie Flesh Eaters, I had that version before I got really hardcore into VHS collecting before I did VHS ATE My Brain. That is the extreme version. That is a Vipco tape. Love your Vipco. And that is not uncut. However, it's not far off. So yeah, as stated there, includes material banned since 1983, so it was more extreme. Contains footage that will shock. Yes. As much as I love Zombie Flesh Eaters, it also contains a pretty awful dub job. But still, it's Zombie Flesh Eaters. It's Fulci at the height of his gory powers, and I recommend that tape. It's not uncut, it's not a particularly rare one, but that is a fun tape to have. Now, this film, this is still notorious in various scenes in the UK. Jake West's razor-blade smile with Eileen Daly as a vampire assassin. The covers made it look brilliant. The artwork made it look fantastic. But it was what it was. It was a very low budget British horror movie. I mean, look at the back there. It looks fantastic. However, it is very cheap. Unfortunately, it wasn't there just wasn't the budget or the technology available to make it look incredible, but it does still have a cult following throughout a lot of scenes, not least in the goth and industrial scene, alternative scene, because it has a lot of connections to that scene and the music and the whole aesthetic of things. It's an interesting one to watch. It's quite an experience, Razorblade Smile. It still remains quite an experience to those that are uninitiated, but there's a lot of things I've enjoyed about it at the time. It's not something I've really revisited that much, to be honest, but it was pretty fun at the time. So that's a little look at some VHS horror goodies on eBay. I've bid on one. Don't tell my wife, she's in the next room. I'm trying not to expand the collection again just yet. Oh, there's a good one to end this episode on. Check this out. Job Lot 4 Preser X Rental VHS Horror Video Nasties Rare. They are Vipco and Vampix. This is serious. Okay, this is serious good stuff. Now, this is a case where I've not looked at the tapes yet, but even if these tapes have got mold on, I would suggest buying this lot in a heartbeat. £20 for this is excellent. So we've got Vipco Driller Killer, notorious movie. We've got Drive-In Massacre on IRV, and we've got Flesh and Blood Show on Vampix, and we've got The Last Horror Film on Intervision. These serious. So we've got Driller Killer there with the legendary cover. We've got Last Horror Film with Caroline Munro. We've got Flesh and Blood Show, and we've got Drive-In Massacre with an absolutely awesome cover. Look at those. We've got some more of the chunky clamshells there. These have been kept in really nice condition. The Last Horror Film there, that is cracking. So on Alpha and Intervision, Intervision tapes were awesome. Flesh and Blood Show, there's the Vampix label. These are the real deal. Drive-In Massacre, yep. Labels, boxes, everything there. That's great. I think maybe that Driller Killer label has been replaced. That may have been reprinted, the label, but that is a good looking batch of tapes. Look out for things where there's value to yourself as a collector. If you want to flip things, see if you can find, if you come across anything that you want to flip, make sure there's the value, you're getting the value of what you pay back as well as the postage, and above that would be profit if you want to flip things. But that, a lot like that, would go a long way to making a really damn cool VHS collection. So that's been a little look at some VHS movies over on eBay. I'm going to go and pick something suitably bloody to watch now, and I hope you've had a marvelous time checking these out with me. I love doing this. Check out my channel Planet Hex over on YouTube, and look out for something new coming very soon that may interest you if you've enjoyed this video. I'm Andrew Hawnt. Thanks for watching this episode of Planet Hex. I love movies. I'll catch you again soon.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and validate my existence.